Why do we struggle with learning a new language? Ever wonder why some languages seem more accessible than others? Or why children find language learning fun while adults might find it daunting? Stick around and we'll unravel these mysteries. Welcome to the Prime Group channel. First of all, let's address why learning a foreign language can be such a formidable task. It's not because languages are inherently complex. In fact, humans have the remarkable ability to acquire any language from a very young age. Babies can learn any language in the world. It's obvious, but we must stress it. The primary reason a language feels challenging is that it's different from your native tongue. And diplomats know it very well. Those language masters understand that the time needed to learn a new language can vary significantly. Easier languages, those that are closely related to your native tongue, might take as little as 24 weeks of study. But when you venture into the realm of distant languages such as Chinese, Mandarin, Russian, or Japanese, get ready for an epic journey that could take up to 88 weeks. So what's behind the difficulty for speakers of European languages such as English or Spanish?
¿Qué te gusta hacer en tu tiempo libre?
What do you like to do in your free time?
I'm using as source here an interesting article I found on the British magazine The Economist. First, let's start with the writing system. Imagine trying to learn a language that doesn't even use the same alphabet as your own language. For instance, in Chinese or Japanese, you must memorize around 2,000 characters just to be able to read a newspaper.
今天非常冷。
今日はとても寒いですね。
Now that's a challenge. Arabic, on the other hand, while having a different script, is relatively straightforward because it's alphabetic, with just a few dozen letters. However, it gets tricky as the letters change shape depending on their position in a word, and short vowels and written.
ماذا تلعب؟ ماذا تلعب؟
As for Korean, the characters in Hangul are technically a syllabary, with each character representing a syllable rather than a single sound. But Hangul is praised, is widely admired for its simplicity and logic.
태어나다. 자라다. 취미.
Then there's the issue of sounds. Sometimes languages include sounds that don't exist in your mother tongue. If you speak a European language, attempting to pronounce the clicks and snaps of many African languages can be quite challenging. But it's equally tough when languages make distinctions that your language lacks. In Hindi, for example, sounds like T and D can be retroflex, meaning the tongue rolls backward or not, creating two distinct letters that can differentiate between two words.
A for art. Art. A say am. Am means mango. A.
As for Mandarin and Cantonese, these Chinese languages have tones, which means that a word like ma with a flat tone and ma with a falling tone have entirely different meanings. Look it up.
Ma, 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 ma.
Next, let's talk about vocabulary or lexicon. Most European languages share a common ancestor, Proto-Indo-European, leading to frequent word relationships. For example, wine in English is vino in Italian, vino in Spanish, vinho in Portuguese, vine in German, and wein in Dutch. In Europe, languages are like genetics. We are all cousins, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. However, if you venture beyond the European family, those similarities disappear unless they are recent loanwords or related to fields like science or technology. On the other hand, even in close languages, there are words tightly linked to the local culture, like the German word Schadenfreude or the Portuguese saudade, both expressing very specific feelings that can be concisely translated into other languages. Lastly, we come to grammar, the complex set of rules and exceptions that characterize each language. Don't expect these rules to follow a mathematical pattern or logic. It's more like navigating a thorny path. Take verb conjugation, for instance. In most languages, highly used verbs like to be or to have tend to be particular and don't resemble regular verbs. Why is that? Simply because they are used so much that their structure has become irregular and must be memorized. In summary, we all know that learning a foreign language is a significant investment of time and consistent effort to overcome the difficulties of its writing system, replicate its sounds, memorize its words, and assimilate its grammar. For children, it's an intuitive game. For adults, it's a long trek through the desert, but with willpower, it can be done. Immersion, educational technology, constant practice, and continuous exposure are the keys to learning a foreign language. So don't be discouraged, it's an incredibly rewarding journey. A Chinese teacher mentioned that Mandarin was the hardest language he learned to write, but the easiest to speak. That's all for today. Thanks for watching and listening. We hope this content has been both informative and entertaining. If you found it helpful, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and share your thoughts on the exciting challenge of learning foreign languages. Have a great day.